No,
in the interview. So
I
before I
want
get
to
back
see
to
what.
that,
Yeah, no, we need to get. I want to see what the Star Wars thing had to say because I had to go when you were doing the Star Wars thing. That was a bit interesting.
oh yeah, we can go back
You
to
know,
that. I
because
think I was done. That's pretty much the Sean Connery thing. So the Sean Connery thing was super frustrating, is what that was, because these
I
people
just want to
just
say hello
stink.
to everybody who's
So
watching and will watch this later.
yeah,
Hello to everybody. The bad Norwegian is here.
so he is something special, is what he is. If you were told that the Sci-Fi Wire folks were going to put together a list of the best lightsaber scenes, that's what they just call it. They don't define what best means. Best
Yeah.
lightsaber scenes, uh, original trilogy through new trilogy. Nothing from like Rebels or anything like that. Just
Oh,
those, just the 9 motion pictures. Just
yeah, yeah.
hearing that they wrote the 11 greatest.
Okay.
It would be clear that you would predict how many from the new trilogy do you think this writer would put in there?
Let me guess. A lot of no. They were probably well. The Last Jedi is a really bad one, but maybe they took the Last Jedi fight scene. I don't know.
They're
I
very
don't know.
woke. That's all I'm going to tell you. Let me tell you how you know they're woke, because they don't get more than a few sentences in. Let's go back.
Because
Jace.
if I'm gonna go through like the fighting scenes in the Star Wars
Sure,
trilogy,
sure.
the best fight scenes, of course, one of the best fight scenes in the prequels is of course Mustafar with Obi-Wan and Anakin,
Yeah,
because it's
right here.
so intense. It has a lot of body language and a really heavily good fight scene. It's fast, it's fun, you are engaged, you know, you get really excited. And then you go to the
Yep.
original trilogy. I want to say my
All
favorite
right.
at least
Wait, wait,
is
wait. Go ahead.
okay,
Go ahead.
okay.
We'll do your favorite. So you like Mustafar?
Yep.
You'd put that near your top.
Yeah, that's one of my top of the prequels. And then of course we have the original trilogy. For me it has to be. I do love, of course, I do love Return of the Jedi fight, but there, you know, the part in Empire Strikes Back when, you know, the whole fight scene and it ends with, you know, he finds out that Vader is the father. It's like that
Yep.
whole fight scene has a lot of passion, has a lot of body emotions. It's like I it's going back and forth, but I have to say Empire Strikes Back because that's like one of the biggest scenes
Okay.
in the trilogy, and I love the fight. And when it comes to the sequels, best fight scene they ever did is in The Force Awakens at the end. That is like the best fight scene they did in the whole trilogy,
Okay.
because the problem with the sequels also, they don't know the effing how to use a saber. They don't understand how to use them. It's just like it. Just people, if you watch the movies, you can clearly see it. I've seen professional sword fighters, and I know professional people who works with swords and martial arts, and I've talked with them, and most unpractical fighting scenes they have seen is in the sequel trilogy
Yeah.
of Star
Yeah.
Wars.
So the giveaway actually is a little bit in their photo choice. So they kind of hint a little bit.
Yep,
The Darth Maul one is front and center, and some of the other stuff on the sides. Um,
yep.
this guy, just to give you an idea of the tenor that he writes with, he says, quote, a staple since 1977's A New Hope, the Sith and Jedi love to use their laser swords to air their grievances and settle their issues,
Did they
daddy
say
or
laser
otherwise.
swords?
Laser
Did they
swords.
really?
Hmm. Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
lightsabers, man.
Well, he says it in the first. He says the only thing Star Wars fans
That's
love
it.
more than the actual movies are lightsaber battles within them.
Yeah,
Then he calls them laser swords because he doesn't want to repeat himself, and he refers to daddy issues. So basically, he's talking about Jedi. And then he talks about how the CGI has made things better, and he says, and that they've gotten better over the last 20 years. They've grown by leaps and bounds, and Yoda flips ahead of their modest low-fi beginnings when Obi-Wan Kenobi clashed with Darth Vader inside the first Death Star. That's the setup. And I was like, oh, this was brought up on the dump over at Sporking News, and they were kind of
yeah,
going to the list, and they got through like 11, 10, 9, and then I stopped because I wanted to check out the list for
yeah.
myself. I didn't want to be
And
spoiled.
I want to say hi to Chris in the chat, my other host from my
Oh,
shows.
hey, Chris. Chris,
Also a big Star
there's a
Wars
link at the
fan.
top. You can come on up in here, man.
Yeah, I told him
It's
about
like
it. I'm
swinging
trying to get him
around
in.
wiffle ball bats. That's so funny. You know what? It is so true sometimes when you watch like, and that's the thing about Ray. It's just such crap. Anyway,
Yeah, she when
uh,
in the fight in the Last Jedi when she's fighting the guards and it looks like she's dancing ballerina.
yeah. So their honorable mention is
Yeah,
Yoda
it's a good
versus
fight.
Count Dooku.
It's a good fight. I do like that fight. It's not my favorite, but it's one of the great ones in the prequels. It's really
I,
good because
I,
it's Count
I,
Dooku, one of my favorites.
so one of my criteria, if I had to say there was a best list, first off, anytime you do best and worst lists, they always try to say, well, what do you mean by best? You're gonna have to define terms, right? So for
Mm.
me, best isn't just the duel itself; it's also like
No,
the emotional weight of what's actually happening, the consequences of it, and then
yeah,
the impact of when you saw it, right?
yeah,
So yeah,
and
sure, we can all laugh at episode 2 now, the Attack of the Clones with
oh
Yoda flipping around. It's kind of a little comical in some ways, but when it
yeah,
first
but
happened, this was so cool.
yeah, I still love it, and also when it comes to fight scenes, you also need to get the body emotion. You need to get the emotions when you fight, when you move. You have to believe it. You have to be engaged with it. It's so many things you have to like remember in those scenes. And when it comes to Yoda and Count Dooku, you have Count Dooku, who's he's a classy man, right? So his fighting
Hmm.
style is classy. It's a lot of passion in it. It's old fashioned. It's just a beautiful fight. So that's why I like that scene a lot too.
Well, it's also the scene where we first, because up until this point, everyone knows he's a Jedi, and you've seen Force powers, but you never saw him actually fight with a lightsaber. And of course, Yoda is so cool. He's the first one. He doesn't even pull out his lightsaber. He just uses Force to pull it to his hand and then attacks in like high speed.
Yeah,
So when this first aired in theaters, man, the place went bonkers. It was fantastic.
yeah.
It should get higher on the
Unfortunately,
list.
yeah. Unfortunately, I never saw it on cinemas as I was young, but this is a good scene, and I will take that higher up in the list of good fighting scenes.
Yeah, me too. I thought this is way too low. You'll understand why in a minute. This is Revenge of the Sith, Windu versus Palpatine. I really don't like that fight. I wasn't even sure I call that a fight, but yeah, they put that here as number 11. Yeah, this is
It has a lot of emotion. It has a lot of impact of the story and the fight. So
sure.
I like the scene in a lot of ways. So I would have taken
Yeah.
that also up higher, but that's me.
This is New Hope. Um, trailer. I
Yeah.
don't know why that's there like that. What are they saying? This is the classic fight. This is the Obi-Wan
The
versus
first
Darth
one, the
Vader
first
fight.
the
Yeah, yeah.
first fight we ever got.
This is 10 on their
And
list.
and
This is how much their list stinks.
and yeah, I know a lot of people are always like, "Oh, it's a slow fight. It's like this." But it was in the old age. They had the equipments they were using could, get fast destroyed. You had to be like careful with certain things. And they had like a more classical fighting style. And I still like the fight because they have a lot of emotions to each other and stuff like that. But it's like it's the first fight we ever saw. And I will also put that higher in the list because it's like a
Yes.
really good scene. It's the first one we ever saw,
Yeah.
like
It's
in
so
this
special.
universe. Mm.
Chris, you deserve you get the applause, my friend. So
Yeah,
smart, so good. A
but a
duel
duel does.
requires two combatants to fight each other. So TLJ
Yep.
is the only movie without a lightsaber duel. Absolutely
Yep.
true. Fact check true. Part of the problem.
They're
Only
just
part of the
throwing the
problem.
lightsabers around.
Yeah, it's just stuff happening, and we'll get to that scene because yeah, they have to include that.
I wonder where that is on the list.
Oh, it's coming, my friend. 9. Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku in Sith.
It's a good scene. It's a good
It's
scene,
fine.
but
It's fine.
should have
Yeah.
been longer up in the list,
Yeah.
like better scenes.
And then Yoda versus Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith. That's fine too. It's okay. That's where he's
Yeah, I
jumping
like
off
that.
the little things. It's fine. I like that. I did like the fact that it was. I guess you're kind of left with Attack of the Clones. You thought Yoda was really. You're conflicted because you're like, oh man, he's so kick butt. He's going to do so well, but he can't win. It was fine. It was a good payoff. I like that one. I like this one.
I like that too. Like it makes sense to the story
Yeah.
and the
And
characters.
then it begins. Number 7, Kylo and Ray on
Mm.
the ruins of the Death Star, and
And
I went.
I'm still gonna say that the Death Star too is not even supposed to be there. It's destroyed. A lot of these things with this ship makes no sense, and how a lot of
Mhm,
things survived, and the secret room that I've seen the behind the scenes, the book, when they show Death Star 2, right?
mhm.
No place for a secret room or anything. No space for it. And that fight scene, I will say, it is better than The Last Jedi. It's a better fight scene, but they still don't know how to use a freaking lightsaber.
Yeah, and this person just uses a whole bunch of word salad about like the
Hmm.
metaphors of the scene and all this other nonsense. I don't want to I don't want to read it again. I already went through it once.
Yeah,
Six.
that's fine.
Six is way too low.
That's
Way
way too
too.
low.
Obi-Wan and Anakin, Revenge of the Sith. I came
That
out
should
of
be
Revenge of
second
the
or
Sith.
first. That should be
When
first or
you
second.
I don't know how old you are. So for me, I took the boys and my
Yeah, I
best
saw it
friend
in
was in town
cinema.
from California. I came out of Revenge of the Sith and I said, I can't believe you pulled it off. I can't
Yeah,
believe you
and
pulled it off. He made
yeah,
me believe Anakin become Vader. He made me my whole life. This has been part of my life since I was 6 years
yeah,
old when Star Wars came out. I turned seven. It's been part of my life this whole time,
yeah.
and
But this
it
was
was so good, so good.
Revenge of the Sith was the first Star Wars movie I got to see in cinema.
Okay.
And I remember I when they hyped up to this fight, when this this started happening, and I've always been a Star Wars fan. That's my biggest thing in the world. So I started shaking. I started shaking. I was like, I couldn't sit still. I was like, oh my god, this is insane. So I was like shaking. So I had like a girl who was like watching over me because I had a babysitter, and she's just like, Jace, can you like calm down? I'm like, no,
How old were you?
I will be 27 this year.
So you were really young
I
when you
was really
saw
young.
when you Revenge of the
Yes.
Sith.
Yes. So I
Yeah,
was
that's
really
so
young and
cool.
hype. Yeah.
That's
And
cool.
by the way,
Chris
hi
is in
Chris.
here.
Hey
Chris is
Chris.
in here. Hey, buddy.
Hello.
We've been running through this Star Wars list. I'm not sure if you caught any of that enough
I've
to appreciate how
been
bad this list is going.
I have been listening and it's just to me there are only through 6 movies.
Okay,
And the
fair
Ewok
enough.
And
movies.
or
And the
or
Ewok.
the Ewok movies, heck, I'll even accept the holiday special. And
Yes.
also
Same.
if you count the Star Clone Wars miniseries, I'll count that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
Yes. Which was yeah.
they didn't define the word best, but they defined the movies that they would select from. So they only focused on the 9 films. They didn't focus on anything else. So that's how they started, and then of course we've ticked off some of the ones that this is absurd for this to be number 6, and the fact
Yep.
that he treated the Obi-Wan Vader. So I feel like this writer feels more about some special effects and things like that. They're not waiting. Okay,
Special effects
they don't get Star Wars like at all. They don't get the fact that
No,
these
they
things have
don't.
meaning.
They
special
don't.
effects is nice and all, but they're just special effects. That's
Yeah.
just
Yep.
that's just something that's aiding
Mm-hmm.
in the storytelling. What's really important is is how are our characters interacting with each other? How are our
Yeah. The body
characters
language and
body
everything.
language, the how they talk to each other,
Yep.
their emotional state with each other. I
Yep.
mean, we
And
ha-
the impact of the fight, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
obviously
And every
this is why
move.
this fight is arguably there's no way this should be out of the top 3.
No,
I
and
mean,
it's like
no,
every
no.
move that you
there's
make,
zero chance it
The
should be a top
the
3.
all
most
the
the mo-
emotions, like all the emotions from when you
Yes.
hit a saber into each other, or swords, or whatever you use in real
Yeah.
life, you have to, you need the feelings, you need a movement, you need the passion in it, you need everything in it to believe it. It's
And
important.
they put this
the
right
Mustafar
here
duel
next to this nonsense.
is by far probably one of the most beautiful looking, as well as one of the most impactful duels in Star Wars.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's fantastic. It's
It
number 6.
it shows us what happened between these two people, a figurative father and his student, and a teacher and student,
Hmm.
a father and son, and a pair and brothers. What happened to them that ripped them apart?
Yep.
What turned them against each other? How
Yes.
did Anakin Skywalker, who was one of the strongest Jedi's in the Jedi Order, become Darth Vader?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's so true.
There
this is
is
insane.
there is no more pivotal duel besides probably
What they put
the
that as 5? Are you
Yeah.
jeez.
effing serious? I almost
Yeah,
swear,
it's
but
insane.
But
I hate this. I hate
there's
this lightsaber duel in hindsight. And if you guys watch my original clip when I went through the list, I explained how the problem for me is the sequels are now so tainted. It's so bad that when
Mhm.
I watch this and she catches that lightsaber and she holds her own and lasts more than 2 seconds against this guy,
Yep.
My rage is so much worse now than it
The
even
the
was then.
the
Even though I hated it
perfect
then, it's just so
yeah.
much worse now.
It's just like the perfect moment to let Luke Skywalker pop in. The perfect moment,
Yeah. I don't understand how. Anyway, whatever. This person's an
you know.
insane person. I didn't read what this person wrote. Let's see what he says. He says, "Oh, geez, a lightsaber duel in the snow? Question mark. We didn't know how much we needed this crowd-pleasing sequence until a fist-pumping "F yay" moment when Ray Force summons Luke's lightsaber across several feet of frozen landscape and into her hand for the most atmospheric and intense battle since Luke and Vader fought in the dark underbelly of the Emperor's throne room in Return of the Jedi."
The F are they
I know these people just completely
do not
oh,
understand.
yeah.
They do not understand.
All right, so 4
At
is
least they have a
Luke
good
Vader
one
Jedi.
up in the top 5. At least they have a good one up in the top 5.
So
Yeah,
yeah, so
at
Luke
least.
Vader is Jedi.
And
Luke Vader
that's one of my
Empire is
favorites.
3.
Oh
I can't
my
I can't even
Oh,
say it. And then the number 1 is Darth Maul.
well,
So
at least
I redid the list and I said this is my number 1.
yep.
Mustafar is number 2, and I said I'm really torn because I like Phantom Menace and I like the original um, Return of the Jedi, and I like the original
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Vader. So those I have those 5, but it's like the first 2
Yep.
are like these 1 and 2. Like I think I have to give it to Empire because for Empire it defines the whole franchise. Like the Empire battle defines the whole franchise. There's just so many elements to this duel that are so important to the whole thing.
Yep.
It was just so flippin' amazing. Yeah, it really was.
Yep. That's one.
For
That's why it's one of
me,
my favorites.
All
for
right, so
me,
Chris, where you put things?
for me, it's the Duel of Mustafar is my top
Yeah.
favorite.
Mustafar 1.
Then comes up the Duel on the Death Star, Death Star 2,
Yep.
because for me it's it's the rematch between father and son.
Oh,
It's
okay. So
Yeah.
it'd be this one. Jedi.
yes,
Yep.
Okay.
yep, the Death Star 2 duel. Then would come up the duel on Naboo between
Darth
uh
Maul.
Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon. Yep.
Then then the duel between Sidious and Yoda. Then
Okay.
then the first duel between Luke and Vader.
Okay.
Then I'm trying to think of who.
That's about 5. That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. Okay, Jace, how you number your 5?
Like I just said, for me, it's Mustafar, of course, because as I had said, there are so many
Mhm.
elements to that fight that is amazing and
Okay.
important. Like a lot of the things Chris just talked when he talked about it. And for me, it's like I say, I do love when it comes to the. Okay, if I take, we go from this prequel first, Mustafar, and then it is, Naboo, Darth Maul, and Qui Gon and Obi Wan, and then you have the Count Dooku in the Attack on the Clones, the
Mhm.
original trilogy. For me, it goes really back and forth on Return of the Jedi with Luke and Vader, and Empire
Mhm.
Strikes Back. So it
Okay.
goes like back and forth because I love both scenes so much that it's really
Yeah.
hard to place them
oh
because
yeah,
both of them are so important. Both of them are so important to everything, and it's such great scenes.
the
So
balance between of the Force that they're both fighting for. Though
yes,
in the first duel, Luke is kind of a little more reckless.
yes, but the other
So,
one is like more
have you guys
balanced.
ever seen The Big Bang Theory and the episode where they're talking
Yes,
about this
I've
and
seen everything. Yeah,
they say
No,
basically, I just thought Vader was lying. I know watching Big Bang Theory is like watching blackface of
I
nerddom. I understand, but it is a
I
kind of
haven't
funny
I
thing.
haven't watched I haven't watched Big Bang Theory or How I Met Your Mother or anything like that.
Yeah, it's just dribble. I got it.
it's just one of those shows that just never really interested me.
when it comes to Big Bang Theory,
Hmm.
some of the first seasons are pretty well and great and funny because they're geeks. They're
Yeah.
just normal
I
Yeah,
geeks
mean,
and funny.
when they don't
I
get any
mean,
girls, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
then and then and and then
I
and I was gonna say
go
this,
ahead.
and then they go into, love, relationships, drama, drama,
Mhm.
drama. Just like they're good actors, but I want to watch a show about geeks that I can relate to, talk about geek stuff, just having funny stories, you know. So a lot of the
I
first seasons were pretty great, but
for me growing up when excuse me, me growing up and Big Bang Theory was on and whatnot, it was more so I didn't care about watching people talk about being geeks and about that kind of stuff. I was more interested in about being a geek and
yeah.
watching the stuff.
Mm,
So
Well, I brought that up because there's an episode where Sheldon talks about like when they saw it or whatever, they thought Vader was lying. And I
yeah,
will
I
tell you
remember that.
that was exactly how that's exactly what the experience was, and that was what we all talked about in the school. We all went to
Yeah,
school, we were all in shock, and we all
yeah,
thought, "Oh, Vader's just lying. Vader's just being a jerk.
yeah,
Vader
well,
murdered the
so
dad. He's messing with
yeah.
Luke.
here's
He's playing mind
But
games
get
with
my
here's
Luke and
list.
stuff
I
like
want to
so
that."
finish my list if I can.
okay,
Oh,
okay,
okay. Go
okay.
ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So since it goes so back and forth on Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, I really need to think about, the consequence and what's happening.
Hmm.
So to be honest, I think I'm gonna take Return of the Jedi
Hmm.
first in the original trilogy because the impact before it ends and
Sure.
everything. And then it's gonna be Empire Strikes Back, and then of course Vader versus Obi-Wan on A New Hope.
Yeah.
The
It's good.
sequel
It's
if
good.
I'm gonna go if I'm gonna take the sequel trilogy, if I'm gonna include that, I'm still gonna say that the fighting and the moments like how they fight, the best one is in Force Awakens because they did more proper training in those scenes compared to the two others. And when it comes to the other ones, then I have to say
But they still look like they were waving around
yes,
wiffle ball bats.
yes, yes. And then it has to be Rise of Soy Milker. That's what we call it, Rise of Soy Milker on in the Phantom. That's what we call them. Um, so then it has to be Force Awakens, the last fight, and then on the Death Star in Rise of Soy Milker, and the Last Jedi. I don't include because that is just waste of
I
time.
can't do it,
That's just
man. I can't do it. This scene,
It's
uh, even if you can tolerate
it's
some of it, whenever
such
this guard misses the cue on purpose because she's in the wrong flipping place, I can't get through
um,
the scene.
and
It's so blatant once
and
you see
also
it.
she
the
kicks one guard, and then she kicks three of
the
them.
Yeah,
disappearing weapons,
yeah, it's
Yes.
the
so
the
bad once you see it. You can't unsee it, can you?
the her dropping the lightsaber and then letting go of the guard's arm so that she can duck underneath his arm. It's just like his arm's still there and pinning you, right? You
Yep.
just because you drop the lightsaber doesn't make you magically be able to phase through his arm.
Nope.
It's when you actually dissect the duel, it's so stupid. It makes
Yep.
no sense whatsoever. It oh god, it's just so
Mhm.
stupid.
Yeah, it is. It is. So
It is. It is.
this was their list, and it was brutal. And listen, kudos to them for coming up with this because I don't go to this website. This stuff on here is just crap, man. I tell you what. Let's looking at just the stuff they wrote or whatever. I did not read their Moon Knight nonsense or whatever. And I already talked about Moon Knight for probably close to 30 minutes, so I can't really recap. I probably have to wrap up now. But you guys ran through Star Wars stuff, man. I haven't done Star Wars content in a minute. I saw that they were covering this. I went back, and I'm glad I'm not the only one who just I'm like, this person is just an insane person. But maybe this shows
Yeah.
why the Star Wars fandom is so out of whack right now. Maybe this
Yeah.
shows
No.
why there are so
No.
many stands and normies that like all this stuff.
Well,
And like me and
the
Chris, we
reason.
are. I just
Go
talk,
ahead.
man.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
No. Me and Chris, we are big Star Wars fans, and we also are gonna bring up our old show because we are talking about the expanded universe books and comics and everything.
Hmm.
So we are like going through the stories and stuff, and we are gonna get back to that at some point
Yeah.
to continue the show.
Yeah,
We're gonna
that'd be
go through
great.
all comics, all books, and everything. We're gonna go through it all.
Chris, what
Yeah.
were you saying?
I was just gonna say is the whole reason why the Star Wars fandom is in such disarray is because you have Disney acquiring Lucasfilm and then erasing everything that
Yep.
existed in it, that existed in the expanded
Yep.
universe, saying that that is
Yep.
inconsequential. It doesn't exist anymore. It's we got rid of it because we want to bring back Chewbacca because he died in the expanded universe. Okay, well, you brought him back, but then you killed Han Solo.
Yes.
The greatest crime that that Disney's Star Wars has committed has been never giving the fans exactly what they wanted, and that was Han, Luke, Leia, Lando, and Chewbacca, along with C-3PO and R2-D2
All
back
together.
together again.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
because Carrie Fisher has passed away, God bless her and everything, God bless the princess,
And the
we will
others that passed away.
never we will never have that moment ever again, and that makes me very that is one of the biggest sins, and it makes me very pissed. It is
Yeah, it's
one it
almost
is some
unforgivable. You almost feel like, I feel like I wish all of it had never happened.
oh yeah,
And we were just on the path we were, where we would just never get a Star Wars movie. We would never get them. And when they would make
well
new Star Wars movies, they would just be rebooted Star Wars or some sort of EU hybrid thing is what we would get. Instead, we got this complete debacle with a missed opportunity, which hurts even more than not
and
getting anything.
and
It
what
feels like
happened is
a good way that
eh,
I can explain. It's like if you are with someone like in a relationship for 7 years or longer, right? And then they cheat on you. That's kind of how it feels. That's like what they did. They took Star Wars, they destroyed everything and turned
maybe
everything that we loved to the ground. And that's how I can like relate to it also, like because that happened to me. So it's like that's how it feels in a way.
Hmm.
and what happened is that when Disney did all this, they started catering to a group of people, and you see this all
Yep.
across mainstream media. They catered
Yep.
to a minority, saying that there was no women in Star Wars. There were always a male centric fandom. It's always it. There's not enough diversity. That it just all this stupid SJW BS that lured in, and also all it lured in all these people that did not care for Star Wars, that did not participate in the fandom of Star Wars, that didn't
Yep.
that still don't buy anything Star Wars, but
Yep. And
they're playing lip service because Disney is pushing their ideology, as well as people who are Disney shills who, oh, Disney can't do anything wrong. Disney can do whatever they want. Disney's this, Disney magic, yada yada yada. All these people are coming into the fandom, pushing out the genuine fans, pushing out the people that had Star Wars built upon them.
yes.
All the people back from 1977 that watched the first movie, all the people that watched the second
Yep.
movie, all the people that watched the third movie, all the people that watched the two Ewok movies, the
Yep.
the Droids TV series, cartoon series, the
The
Ewok
holiday special
cartoon
even,
series,
man.
the holiday special,
Yes.
read the books, read the comics, played the games, everything else up until 2012.
Well,
All
that's why
those
we,
people were kicked out and
yeah.
told, because you don't buy our stuff, because you don't agree with what we're saying, because you're not blind consumers who will just open up your mouth and let the mouse poop drop in, we're not going to we don't want you around. So leave.
What happened
Leave.
to her? What happened to Jaina Solo, for
We had a
example, and Mar?
freaking trilogy planned for her.
Yes.
The Sword of the Jedi book was ready to print
Yep.
before Disney got their hands on it and said nope, and threw it into the back of the shelf to
Yep.
be collect dust.
And now they
Uh,
need it. Like the thing that now they need it because they're trying to get
Well,
back and reselling,
they're
and
trying
that's
they're trying to cater to EU fans by bringing back EU material with underneath the banner of the Essential Legends collection with
but it's
what?
not Legends. It's the
lazy
EU, man.
yeah, it is the EU with
Yes.
lazy cover. In fact, actually, I don't. If you'll give me just a moment, I can. They just
Oh,
He effed up.
yeah, he took
He
himself out.
throttled up.
He's going to share
It's,
with us what he's talking about, I'm sure, so we can see the
yeah.
cover stuff for
Yeah,
ourselves. But
I've seen a lot of these covers and they
yeah,
are stupid and lazy. It's just like like Chris said, we talk a lot about this on the show that
Undertaker.
like we had diversity, we had female characters, we had so many things in the expanded universe that we love, and so many great people. And it's like people still forget because we did have a gay character in the expanded universe who worked with Boba Fett that apparently
He
never
was he
existed.
was Boba Fett's second in command.
Yeah, and he
He
probably,
was
and
second,
according to Disney, he never existed. There were never anything like that in the EU, apparently. So it's like,
but this is 3 new novels that Disney is
yeah, I
re-releasing
saw
underneath
that.
their Essential Legends collection.
Yeah, and that's so. Why does
And
the
it's
character
if
look
you
like Ray? Why does the one
What is
character
the
look
one on
like
the
Ray?
left? What is this? What is this supposed to be on the left?
that is Asana, God, her name, I can't remember her name. She was the head of the Imperial Intelligence.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But why,
Uh,
why, why did they try to make her look like Ray in the face?
Well,
She
probably
looks
because
like
they want to
Daisy.
sell to people who think it could be Ray. If you just quickly glance and you're
her
grabbing
name,
things for your kids or your grandkids, you just grab stuff. Oh, they like the girl character, right? Yeah, yeah, I get that one.
her name
That's what
is
happens.
her name is Yasani Izard.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's the
She,
name. Yeah,
so this is her picture. So
yeah.
this
It
is
says it.
Yasani Izard. She was the
Yeah,
head
she
of
looks good.
she was the head of the Imperial Intelligence.
Yes.
And after the fall of the Emperor, in the EU, after the fall of the Emperor, she kind of took de facto reign of Coruscant up until the liberation of Coruscant by the New Republic, where she escaped in her ship, the Lusankia, that was buried underneath the upper city of Coruscant. The ship it was a super star destroyer that was buried underneath the
Yep.
surface of Coruscant, and she left Coruscant before she was captured and escaped.
Why did why did they make her? I just can't get over the cover that she looks like Ray. I just can't
I'm
get
telling you,
over it.
man, it's marketing. It's like, can we make it look
Yes,
a
I
little bit
know.
more like Ray? Because you have to think big picture. And I'm not even going to totally argue with their marketing strategy because it will get a bunch of, soccer moms and grandparents grabbing that book because that's what the one wants. It's like there's a stormtrooper. Actually, the worst cover is the stormtrooper one because it doesn't
Oh,
really have enough of a personality to even warrant.
that's the Death Trooper novel. That's
Yeah.
the Death Trooper
So
novel. So it's about an imperial person ship
mhm.
docks with a derelict imperial star destroyer, and some of the people get on board the star destroyer, and they find no one on board besides these giant tanks full of this weird black goo, and the black goo infects them and is in the air. It's aerosol, so it's basically in the air, and they breathe it in, and they bring it back to the imperial prison barge,
Yep.
and people start dying, except for a small hand of people, among them being Han Solo and Chewbacca. Well, actually, yeah,
Mhm.
Chewbacca almost dies, but they save him,
Right.
Yep.
and basically, their bodies all become reanimated, and they
Yeah, basically
basically form.
zombies.
Yeah, they are zombies basically. They're star. It's
Yep.
This is basically the closest that we will get with a Star Wars zombie movie, horror
It's a good
book.
book. It's like a really good book, man. It's not bad.
There's this one, and as well as the prequel novel called Red Harvest, which took
Yes.
place 3,000 years before.
Yep. And
Uh,
because they did also have this in the quarter, SWAT quarter and all that kind of stuff too. They also had a zombie-ish virus stuff in them.
Do you, if you had to grade this on a scale of 10, how do you sort of grade them, Chris?
it's lazy.
Uh, it
It's
is
Okay.
lazy.
lazy.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
so I'm
It's
gonna say.
lazy. Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
they kind of look cool in a way, but at the same time, because they're just taking already made materials and just slapping their own label on it, it's very lazy.
Yeah.
Because
It's lazy.
copy, because
It's
It's
not.
just, yeah, it's
this
just
was
cheap. It's just cheap
this
for
was the
branding.
original. This is the
Yeah, that's
original
the original
cover.
cover, and it's so good.
Oh,
It's so
so
beautiful
is
and
it?
unique.
So is the new cover a reprint, or is it something that's
It's
been refashioned into something else different?
it's Disney's version of the
Okay.
cover.
Yeah,
Okay.
So
yeah, the original
this is
Disney
the original
versions.
cover. This is the
Yeah,
original
and that's
cover.
look good. It looks good. It like
But
it.
the content's the same, or the content's been rewritten?
It's the context is all the same. It's just
Oh,
Disney
okay, so
taking
it's like a reissue with a different cover.
It's a reissue. I
exactly.
think that they reissue them,
Got
and then
it.
they
Now
use
I
the
understand.
banner legends on them because they're like now
Yeah.
legends in
Yeah, yeah,
Disney.
it writes into the legend stuff. I got it. So,
Yeah,
yeah, that
and
Trooper cover is by far the worst of the 3. It's just terrible.
And
Maul
then
is the best one. Like that's just Maul standing there with a
Yeah.
lightsaber and stuff. It's like it's
Well,
simple, but
uh, it is. I'm glad you guys hopped on. We could talk some Star Wars stuff for a minute. You guys have a show tomorrow night, right?
yes.
yes, the
All
Beyond
right.
show.
I might be
So
able to be a part. Oh, I have that. That's on my
Yeah,
shelf
that's
at
so
home.
tomorrow.
this is the original cover of Darth Maul Shadowhunter. Basically, the story
Yes.
behind this one
Okay.
is that one of the Nemoidians who was in the Trade Federation prior to the invasion of Naboo got cold feet and tried to sell information to the Jedi and or
Yep.
tried to sell information into the Coruscant Underground, and Darth Sidious had Darth Maul go hunt him. And this whole situation of this information broker, got involved, and this Jedi Padawan got involved, and it's a really fun novel. So
Yeah, I have that one. That's such a good book. And it's really sad that because these things are not even expensive to get. Like it's
no,
like we didn't. I mean, it's totally a cash grab to put different covers on them because, like I said, I think you could
Yep.
probably get
it
used
is.
copies of all the
It's
originals for just a
You
few
can get
bucks.
used copies, but
it's
it's
a cash grab to get people to come back and repurchase these novels, because you
Well,
got to have
they just want the money.
the cool covers, which are lazy covers. It's also
yeah.
lazy because it's old material being repurposed to
Well,
make Disney money.
the new fans won't even. I mean, I'm going to tell you, a bunch of people that buy that won't even know that it was originally printed before. So it's okay.
They will
That's
not.
exact.
They will not.
Disney does not care. Like them reprinting or reissuing something is pretty commonplace. This is why, because I got into like the pin thing in their parks with my kids for a while, and what quickly occurred to me is I'm stuck with a whole bunch of useless pins because they can just constantly make more of some of them.
Yeah,
Only a few types are like limited edition ones. Like there's only like,
Mhm.
so many of these or so many of those. But for all these other ones, there freaking could be a million of these things rolling around somewhere. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. It's just like
No,
it's just a gimmick.
no. That's why I
And
say
and
that I will. I don't want to own any reissued comics or books of
or
Star Wars
anyone
because
that has the Legends banner on it.
yeah, I don't want that because I want the original books. I want the original, Lucas books and everything. I want the original stuff.
the worst
I don't.
part is how much they've just got everybody milking all of the Disney Marvel comic book era stuff. We'll have to do a whole segment just on that because it just
But I
ruined
mean,
Yeah,
the Dark Empire's value. And that comic book
yeah.
series is just so flipping good. And they just ruined it.
I
So
Dark Empire, I feel, is like bringing back the Emperor properly. But if I could rewrite the Dark Empire trilogy,
mhm.
I would have the ending where, instead of that one Jedi saving everyone, it would be Anakin's spirit that would be coming back and saving everyone.
Sure, sure. I can live
Yeah,
with some changes there. Yeah. So,
yeah.
talk about your channel. Give everybody a little outgoing message real quick before we close. And like I said, I think I can join you guys tomorrow if I'm invited,
Yeah,
and we'll hop in
yeah,
there and
man.
talk some more
You're
stuff tomorrow. So,
always invited. Yeah. So tomorrow,
That's if Jace is being kind and hasn't
I just,
banned you.
yeah, I'm just gonna block him like everyone else did to him.
I won't
No,
even be faced. I'll be like, oh, something must be wrong. I'm so boomer, I won't even know that I'm banned. I'll just think something's wrong. I'm doing something wrong. So, just so you know.
no, but yeah, tomorrow we are gonna have the typical Thursday show of the Beyond, and actually have been working all day with some articles, and we're gonna deep dive more into Ersa Miller because he got arrested again, and he had the court video was out, but that's now deleted from YouTube. I saw the court video that got released, and he doesn't even care about anything, to say it like that. He's just like, eh. And then he's out again. He's of course out and everything still,
Mhm.
and now
Yeah.
he's drinking again,
Uh,
and
that
and
guy
so
needs some serious help.
he needs. So we're gonna go through that. We're gonna go to some other stuff. One of the stuff that I'm excited to talk about tomorrow is Aqualad, this TV show.
Oh. Hmm.
Yep, we are
And
gonna get that.
Yeah.
And then we know normally we have guests on Diego from Midnight's Edge, Pablo from Midnight's Edge Espanol, and all of them.
there's also a
Table,
little bit of political stuff we'll also be talking about that's happened just
Yeah.
recently today.
Yeah, so we do talk some politics that happens from Norway and America and other places.
Right.
And we have a new main guest with us that normally pops in now, and that's Tabletop Junkie. So I want to say
Yeah.
hail to him. He's a really great guy.
Yeah, he had a good video
Uh,
today. I got in a little
yeah,
late, but then I went back and rewatched it. So
yeah,
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 look him doing his
and
content, man. It's good.
yeah, and he was really happy that I made the intro for him. He was effing loving it, as he told me. So, and then yeah, that's
All right.
we talk about we talk about pop culture and everything, politics, and sometimes we just talk about random stuff and having fun
That's awesome.
and showing. Sometimes Chris is showing videos of puppies or kittens, just to
I
lighten the mood a
find
little.
some very adorable stuff sometimes when I'm just scrolling through
It
Twitter.
might be good to break some of
Yeah.
the anger and the frustration.
Rap Circle is finally here. I know everybody been waiting for it, right? And I'm not playing no games.